Hi everyone, my name is Alexandra Recca, and I wanted to come and talk to you guys today about the importance of self-exploration, especially during our more formative years in lives. At least for me personally, I am kind of in the middle of my formative years in life. So everything is still pretty new. Everything has, I try to learn something new every day. Everything I go through has a little bit of nuance in it. And I wanted to come and share my thoughts on how important it is to get to know yourself, especially at all times in life, honestly, not just during your formative years, not just during your youth. It's important to know yourself at any point in life that you are in, any stage. But at least for me personally, during these last few years, I have gone up and down and I've changed my mind about a lot of things. And I think getting to know myself and understanding what I want as my future and what I want career wise, personally, work wise, like it has completely shifted how I view the world and how I view myself as a person and how I view my time. So, the first slide that I wanted to share with you guys is making the most of your time and energy. I think it's important to view time as being abundant rather than infinite because time isn't infinite. And at one point, we will come to a point where time isn't an option for us anymore. And I think it's important to realize what you hold as having significant value and what you don't. I think it's important to not waste your time on things that won't better you in the future, but also not necessarily cutting out everything that makes you who you are. I think you should never be afraid to spend time with the ones that you love, like your parents, your siblings, your friends, anybody that makes you who you are and makes you feel comfortable with yourself. And I also believe at least for me, I in these past 2 years have developed a lot of new skills. I've taught myself a lot. I have so many hobbies that I look back and I think about all the time and energy that I've put into it, and especially all the money that I've put into a lot of my hobbies. And you can't help but sometimes regret everything you've done for them, but you shouldn't regret investing in things that are going to make you become better at a skill that you want to have. And as long as you're putting this time, this energy, this money into something that you actually want to do, it's never going to be it should never be an expense. My next slide is following your own compass. I think this was a big one for me. I've seen myself a lot as a people pleaser, at least these past few years. You always think about what looks good on paper, what your parents are going to be proud of, what your family's going to be proud of, what your mom's going to have to brag about you. But I think especially when you're deciding on who you want to be and what you want to do for the rest of your life, it's important that you know who you're doing it for. And you realize that the only person that you should really be thinking about when you're making such big decisions about your own life is yourself. If you excuse me, if you focus on pleasing others too much, then you won't be able to please yourself. And that in the end, it's that goes back to my last slide. It's not worth your time and it's not worth your energy because at least sorry, excuse me. Next slide. Okay, so our next slide is enjoying the little things. I think a big one for me would probably be that I think it's so conventional, at least like the earlier years, you want to go, you want to travel, you want to do all these things, but you don't necessarily have the money. You don't have the means to take yourself places. You don't have the means to do all these things that you see so many people do, especially nowadays with social media and all the ways that media impacts our lives and what we want. I think it's important to realize that adventure and self growth is everywhere. You make your own life and you get to make decisions for yourself, and you decide whether you're going to let the things around you affect you. And a lot of the times, you don't need to go out of your way to find things that are going to affect you. You yourself can affect yourself. And I think another thing with enjoying little things, I think it's important to take your time. Everything happens at its own time, everything happens at its own pace. You're never going to be able to get somewhere you're not supposed to be. And I I think that comes with learning that your age is just a number, and age is a social construct. You really have to think about it through the perspective that everything I think that time is really like I I think time's really confining. And I think a big thing in society is that as time goes and as we get older, all the fun things start to get older and we kind of lose ourselves. But in reality, I I think that the biggest part, if anything, the biggest part in your life should be trying to conserve who you are as a person and thinking about your past self, thinking about yourself when you're a kid, and trying to just live through them a little bit. I think it's easier said than done, especially considering the fact that we live in such a strict world, and it's so hard to do things that actually make us happy. But I think that that's probably one of the most important things about living. I'm so sorry, technical difficulties. Okay. Thank you guys so much for sticking around, even between all the technical difficulties that I just had. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Hope you guys have a nice day.